Hello, everyone. So, so yeah, my name is Vikas, and I'm an AI trainer at WeCloudData. And if again, um, if I can, let me see. So we have been joined by actually three different students over here. Can you please let me a little bit know about yourself? And then if you have any particular questions around data science, we could start with that, or I can give a general introduction as well, because we are not joined by too many students. So it would be great to have a little bit of kind of interaction. So yeah, the first one is probably Elijah. Hello, Dugu. Can you please let me know how can I pronounce your name, and can you unmute yourself as well? And yeah, introduce yourself, and if you have any question, also please do ask me questions. And generally, if you could just tell me your background, that would be great, because we are only four people, technically speaking, so it would be much more better if we could communicate with each other.
Yeah, sure. Hi. My name is Duygu. Sorry.
Yeah.
It's a Turkish name. I'm from Turkey originally.
Okay.
I moved to the States for my PhD. I did a PhD in linguistics at UMass. And I graduated last summer. And then I've been doing like researching, talking to my network, and I've decided to do a data science boot camp. And I did it, and I finished. I did it with BrainStation, and then now I'm in the job market, so I'm trying to connect. And I found this event with Meetup.
Mm.
I'm in the Boston area. I guess something I'm curious is like, in general, maybe what you would recommend in job search,
Mhm.
especially like I have background in research,
Mhm.
obviously, but I don't have like industry experience.
Okay.
Um, but I've done modeling for my research projects. I've done a lot of like data collection, analysis, that kind of stuff. And I've done a capstone project for my bootcamp, and I've used I tried to incorporate and I did ChatGPT, making like API calls to
Mhm.
make it analyze lyrics, as well as I've used Spotify numeric data, and I've added like text data to it to predict song popularity.
Mhm.
I've done mostly ridge and lasso regression, and also neural networks to predict Spotify song popularity scores. That was my data and project. So yeah, that's like my only project now. I'm trying to think of like adding another one to my portfolio. Maybe a suggestion about that, and like in general how to, market myself. That would be great. Thank you.
Okay. Awesome. Awesome. Great. So yeah, I think it's a good thing that you have a PhD, and particularly in linguistics, although it's not, I'm not sure. I think it's not computational linguistics, right? Okay. So it's okay. So within linguistic, you did still try to work with yeah, that's interesting. Okay. So you have I mean, you should be trying for NLP related jobs, right? And yeah, and mostly within the NLP related jobs, I think it would really help if, and at the end of the day, if you're working as a data scientist or NLP engineer or anything like that, it does affect, unfortunately, a little bit that you have a tech stack or not. Because understanding about language and processing language is in itself a skill set without any doubt. But at the end of the day, you need to be working in a large organization where they will be working on multiple tech stacks, right? Which means that probably they are using cloud, right? So you need to know a little bit about AWS, right? What is cloud? How to work with it? Maybe they are working with Linux, so probably you need to know a little bit about Linux, right? And then maybe most of the times, big companies are working on a big data projects, right? So it means that probably they will be making use of technologies like distributed systems like Apache Spark, right? They'll be using Spark for analysis and Spark for machine learning and so on, right? So these are different tools that needs to be, and this is how you have to market yourself as well. Unless there is a company whose research is also in NLP, And it will become, I think, a little bit difficult. Unfortunately, you're in a very bad times right now, because if you are a linguist, core linguist, with this kind of analysis, you could have gone into the research industry, let's say in 2016. But after the transformer architecture and OpenAI and all of those kind of players, I think now the focus more will be on the tech stack, even for linguists, because they have kind of taken the whole market share, and research has become more and more expensive, right? And it requires a more and more specialized kind of area of research for you to get into that industry. And very rarely I have seen people who will be working with core traditional kind of NLP, right? Traditional kind of a linguistic kind of like, even if you're doing computational linguistics, still that would be considered as a traditional NLP, where you're working with rule-based kind of a things, right? Dependency graphs and here and there and so on, right? Unless you have kind of a experience in that computational part where you feel like this is a future. I have made some, or maybe there is some breakthrough coming up, right? Then you can present yourself in that as well. But I'm assuming that you have a core linguistic kind of a capability, but you have added a little bit of computational aspect to it yourself, which is to do some classification, learn a little bit of using API and here and there, right? So with that, I would encourage you, if you could, to learn more about LLMs, not just using OpenAI API, also learn about how to fine tune a large language model. There are different tools for that, right? And then even how to create LLM applications in Python, and yeah, and generally about learning about data science would definitely help, because as a data scientist, the core skill set that is required is not really NLP or something. This is like specialization NLP. But for data scientists, you just really need, at the end of the day, what? Well, you need just understanding and analysis kind of a capability, how to critically think about problems, how to analyze the error, how to think about the data. I think you have done it in your PhD, right? So PhD is one of the good kind of a credential for you to show them that, hey, I am capable of doing this kind of stuff. You just need a little bit of tech stack, I believe, some big data kind of a project, and then some upload material on your GitHub so that you can say that I can do computational stuff as well, and some industry related, at least tools like SQL and so on. I think that would definitely help you.
Yeah, thank you. In my bootcamp, I've learned like SQL, Spark, Cloud Data, and then I have my project on the capstone project on GitHub with like multiple notebooks and stuff. I guess, yeah. I need to, that's what I was thinking. I need to learn more about LLMs, like how to fine tune them. And do you have like any resources that you can recommend for that?
So yeah, I mean, there are online resources as well as paid resources. So for example, as a paid service, I mean, we definitely provide LLM kind of specialization, and it is really, really good one as well, which talks about, which starts from the traditional NLP. So I'm not sure. Did you do any bootcamp with us, the data science bootcamp with us?
No, I've done it
Okay.
somewhere else.
Okay. Well, okay. So in our own data science bootcamp, in the very end, we introduce the NLP. So actually, we take a start from there. So that an introduction to NLP, for example, how to convert a text into blah blah blah, we take it from there, and we assume that you already know about that stuff. So we get into the word embeddings, right? And then I'm not sure about if you how much you are aware of the NLP, but you get into word embeddings, different types of word embeddings, and from there on, we get into the transformers, these general LSTMs model, and how we move from LSTM to transformers, then the BERT architecture, GPT, GPT-2, and how to fine tune the models, different kind of models, open source models, the OpenAI GPT models, and then how to try to train your own model. I'm not sure if we do cover the whole training. Of course, it is not possible to train a big kind of a model, but we do cover a parts of it. And then finally, we have a whole section on RAG, which is how to develop a RAG related applications. That is one. And then there is another kind of a course as well, which is LLM Ops, which is more for computer scientists, people who really know about, uh, the the core of data science and LLMs, and they really want to work on, I mean, they want to focus more on the software engineering aspect of it. So that's a whole different kind of area. But I think so for you, the natural next step would be LLMs. Now, if you want to look for some online resources, you can find a lot on YouTube. I mean, there are scattered videos and scattered kind of a content. Of course, you can always find a lot of stuff online as well. And if I mean, we have a self-paced course as well, and we have I think I'm not exactly sure, Adam, if we have the cohort-based courses, online courses as well.
We have machine learning engineering, so that's more advanced courses.
Oh,
Mainly
okay.
focused on the deep learnings and like deep machine learning operations to build up the machine learning pipelines. So it's a more advanced like courses, and also that's more for the senior positions, not for the junior. And also we do offer the real climb projects and for students who don't have relevant work experience and can participate
Yeah.
in this project, have closed work with clients, help we solve the problem, and get some feedback from of the project managers, and very close to the real world industry, and that probably a part of like work experience. That's part also help student land job.
Yeah. So you can think about the real client project as well, because real client project also kind of walks you through the whole problem of NLP as well. But to be honest, I once had gone through there are some GitHub places as well where you can try to find some. They have kind of organized a way of learning something, but there is a lot of academic stuff as well. I mean, boot camps are different than academic stuff as well. But yeah, definitely you can find stuff. Okay. Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome. So yeah, next we have so who came actually first? I think Jose came first, right? Yeah, Jose, are you here?
Yeah, sorry, I was on mute. Yeah, I had taken data analytics boot camp with U of T about 5 years ago, and and though my career hasn't actually pivoted to that general area, I'm still kind of curious on if now that you guys have actually now was that 6 different boot camps now with data science, data analysis, all of that. Whereas when I remember listening in on some of your stuff, you only had, I think, basically the three. So I'm just trying to figure out if there's anything new that I should be learning, what direction I should be taking, that kind of thing. That's why I just kind of
Interesting.
listening in. Yes.
Yeah. So yeah. So the same thing as I said to the Dogo, as that you have to again as a analytics. I don't think so. You have covered machine learning, right?
No.
Okay. So for sure, definitely you should be looking into machine learning as well, because the market has right now definitely I mean, as a data analyst, I mean the competition would be a little bit tough as well.
Mhm.
So machine learning is another one that you need to learn as a data analyst to move a little bit. And then if you want to get into data engineering, that would be a completely different path where you will be looking for different tools which allows you to work with the data and create data and prepare your data, right? But for data science route, I think you should focus and spend more time on machine learning, not really the mathematics of it. Although I personally like mathematics, and if you do get into the mathematics, it will for sure help you. But I would say that even if you don't know mathematics, that is totally fine. Just try to learn how to apply the algorithms yourself.
Mhm.
That would for sure help you. Okay. Um, yeah, that's one thing. And then the second thing I would say is focus on some of the tools, as I said to Diego as well, right? And try to create some kind of a big data project, right? Or something like that. Use AWS, use Spark, or something like that. Related tools. If you have those kind of project, then that would also definitely help you. And if you want to get even one more kind of a step ahead of it, then you can get into the depending on your career goal. If you're coming from a little bit of computer science background, you should get into the ML ops. right? Which is related to deploying machine learning models, working with the Docker, the Kubernetes, and all of those. And if you're more into a little bit of research kind of a side as well, then for sure, machine learning engineering is preferred pathway because it is where you will be learning about natural language processing and the computer vision and details about that as well. And if you want a specific kind of a area, then definitely you should only look into either computer vision or NLP without looking into any other kind of details. So there are multiple kind of pathways for you, but you should definitely begin your journey from learning about machine learning.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. I think I'm assuming that you already know about pandas. So and
Yes.
SQL. Yeah.
Yes.
So I would say that start with the scikit-learn, and then from there on try to use Spark for analysis and Spark for machine learning as well, and try to get into a little bit of AWS. Hopefully, I mean, again, that would definitely help you in the whole process. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks. So Elijah, can you hear me? If you have any question or if you want to introduce yourself, that would be great. So yeah, Elijah is I'm new to data science, but I'm eager to learn. Okay, awesome. That's great. I think yeah. If you have any question, please let us know. Yeah. Other than that, so Terry, can you please introduce yourself and let us know where are you coming from? Like, what is your background? And yeah, if you have any specific question, you can ask that as well.
I live in Hayward and manage a bunch of AI people. I was just listening in today to see what kind of questions people asked.
Oh, okay. Okay. So
Any other
you,
questions?
Hmm.
Thank you.
Yeah, okay, okay. So, okay. So Chandra, you can unmute yourself and yeah, introduce yourself and let me know if you have any questions.
Sure. Am I audible?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So I'm just trying to, I'm a delivery manager, more on the process part, so trying into the technical world. So I joined a bit late, so I want to know more about DevOps, like what you guys provide and all, or what I'm not sure what was discussed about it, but whatever on your screen I see, right?
Yep.
I wanted to know about machine learning and DevOps. So I'm not sure even where to start.
Yeah.
So
So machine learning in DevOps, that would be MLOps. So there is this particular course called MLOps. Okay. Okay. I don't have, I think over here. I think let's see, view full catalog. And so that's the MLOps engineering, right? So that is the one which talks about the whole thing. So technically, you would learn something like that. I will share with you the link of this as well. But if you just get into the whole thing, basically, the kind of, I mean, this is I think fundamentals, and then there is a whole MLOps kind of a course around that as well. So which talks about different things. So I will just kind of give you a quick summary of what it covers, right? So it begins with understanding the virtualization, then Docker containerization, right? Then it talks about Kubernetes. It talks about how to make use of Linux, right? How to create Linux shells, scripts, and so on, right? And then we try to talk about the software engineering aspect of continuous integration and continuous development, right? And then the deployment of a particular machine learning, we are assuming over here that, okay, you already know about machine learning. Because if you're not aware of machine learning, then there is a separate kind of a specialization around machine learning, right? And around data science. But in this case, we are assuming that you already know about it. So we are more focused on operations part of it, right? So the idea is to deploy a machine learning model. Well, how to do that? Well, deploying a machine learning model can be done in different ways. serverless ways, and you can have your own web app. So we also kind of talk about the Flask, the Streamlit technologies, right, and how to deploy apps there, and then how to use AWS SageMaker to deploy the apps, right? And then apart from AWS SageMaker, we also talk about the Lambda, AWS Lambda function, right? So there is a lot of focus on the cloud as well. And then finally, we get into a little bit of more detail about Kubernetes. And then I'm not sure how much you're aware of, but there is a technology called MLflow. MLflow is used to track your experimentations, deep learning experimentations, right? So MLflow is also kind of is a part of this whole program where we kind of explain what MLflow is and how to use it to track your applications. And yeah, most of the times the cloud technology that we're using is AWS. There is a self-paced version of this course as well, I believe. You don't have to actually join the live course. You can do it on your own pace. There is a self-paced version of that as well. But if there are particular questions that you're interested in, please let me know.
Sure. Thank you.
Yeah. Awesome. So as I said, there are so many other aspects of it of this as well. So for example, you have particular large language models. Deploying them is a little bit different than the usual kind of deployments, right? So we do talk about those as well, and how to monitor the performance of a machine learning model and so on as well. Okay. So yeah. Okay. So do we have any other questions as well? If you want me to talk about some general topic, you can let me know about that. Otherwise, if you have some specific questions, you can let us know about that.
So if I can I?
Yep, of course, of course. I mean, I
Yeah.
think everyone has asked one question, so now everyone is allowed to ask any question. Yeah.
So about DevOps and machine learning, what kind of roles do people get into? Like, what is their future?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a good one, because at the end of the day, see, I will give you a trajectory of someone who is getting into this field. Okay. So usually previously people do came into this field as a data analyst, right? But then nowadays they are directly coming as a data scientist. Okay. Because data scientist is supposed to be data analyst as well as usually machine learning expert as well, right? So with data science, those are kind of a junior roles. I would call it a junior roles, right? 1 or 2 years. After 1 or 2 years, you're expected to get into a role where your more again, depending on different companies. But if you want to get into a little bit of senior role, you need to be a little bit more expert on deep learning, right? And different frameworks around it, right? And you can choose your own specialization as well. It can be computer vision, it can be NLP, or maybe both. Who cares, right? But depending on what your passion is, you will have to learn more about machine learning. That would give you a position of machine learning engineering, usually, okay? And after the machine learning engineering position, usually the expectation is to get into a higher position where you're kind of monitoring and deploying the application. And it is also required, by the way, in some cases, if you're not doing research and core machine learning tasks. So you're required to also not only develop these complicated models, but also deploy them and monitor them, right? Because that is what companies want. And that is the most useful skill set at the end of the day, right? And it has a lot of software engineering aspect to it. As a data scientist, you really don't have to know a lot about software engineering. But to become ML ops engineer, right, you definitely have to know a lot about software engineering as well as machine learning engineering, right? So ML ops is becoming more and more famous because of this intersection between the two fields. Okay. So software engineering people who are really good with the DevOps, they really learn a lot about machine learning, and now they can get into the ML ops. And really good machine learning people can learn something about the DevOps, and now they can get into the MLOps as well. Okay, so MLOps is the future, because at the end of the day, a company needs someone who they can rely on, right? They want to rely on a person, right, who could actually not just develop a solution, but deploy a solution and also monitor the solution and improve the solution as needed. And this is something ML ops engineer usually do. Okay. But for becoming an ML ops, you need to know about ML as well. Okay. So that's why I consider it to be the most kind of a recent and advanced kind of a skill set that people must have. Okay. And then, of course, if you're working in a special field of AI after being in ML ops, you also need to learn a little bit of technology related those fields as well. So for example, LLM, right? As in the beginning we talked about. So LLMs require a little bit of more sophistication, okay, that you need to be aware of, okay? Because yeah, deploying those large language models require a little bit of more sophistication, and those applications a little bit more different, right? Now you have vector databases and so on. So there are a little bit of different technologies as well that you need to be aware of. And the same thing goes with the computer vision as well. So nevertheless, yeah. Does that make sense, Chandra? If someone is coming from a DevOps, I would say it is much more easier for that person to get into the MLOps. The only thing that person needs is to learn a little bit of more about the machine learning. But if someone is coming from, let's say, machine learning, they have to, and they don't have a background in computer science and software engineering, I think this would definitely help them.
Mhm.
Yeah. And I have seen, by the way, people who have done MLOps and then try to apply for DevOps role. I've seen such people as well. And people have actually jumped from directly, data science to MLOps directly as well. Because any data scientist who even doesn't know too much in detail about the deep learning, but still knows a lot about the, application of the MLOps, that is also kind of, it's a mix and match. It's about preference of people. But the trajectory is what I've just told you. Data science, then machine learning, specialized kind of a machine learning. And then after that, you would get into the MLOps, the operations. Make sense?
Sure.
Awesome. So yeah. Any other questions? So you can ask any questions around data science as well. Let's say if you are interested in knowing about any topic, you can ask me that question as well. It's a AMA session, right? Ask me anything. So yeah. Or maybe I can just share with you some of my experiences probably. Okay. So I'll just share with you one of my experience probably that would, okay, I think we have been joined by someone. So maybe they would ask me a question, and otherwise I will just share with you one of my experience, which I think is more, yeah. So from research perspective, so if you see, once I was working in the very beginning, because my background is actually mining engineering. So I wanted to move from mining engineering to AI and so on. I really wanted to get into this field. So what I did was I actually started working on a project with my professor, where the idea was, I'll just give you some of the examples that I did in the beginning, right? How can you use even the machine learning in very fun and interesting manner, right? So we have been given a data where some mineral is coming from the ground, and that mineral has some properties, let's say coal, right? And you're trying to predict the calorific value of coal, right? As how much, let's say, how much energy it contains. Well, to find out that, you need a very sophisticated kind of a, process. So what I did was, we can create some new sensors which could indirectly look for some other chemical properties, and then we don't have to do the whole expensive experimentation. And we use those sensor properties like moisture in it, ash content, and so on. There are some other properties of it which we can get from the cheap sensors, right? And from that we would calculate the calorific value of coal, right? So that was the main project. But while doing that project, it would work very well for some of the samples, but it would completely fail for other samples. And analyzing it would give us this important discovery that those samples for which we were not able to get the good results, they were kind of anomalous samples. And we kind of designed a particular spatial location as those samples exist in that location. And those samples are really different from the other samples because we assume that it is a fairly easy task, so we should be getting 98, 99% accuracy. But for those specific samples, we were not really getting accuracies. So when I kind of extracted one sample at a time, right, erroneous sample at a time, and did that whole process for 100 different times, imagine fitting 100 different machine learning models, and each time I'm just getting one unusual, erroneous kind of a sample, right? Then when we do look at the spatial location of those 100 samples, we found out that those 100 samples belong to a special spatial location. And then when we gave that spatial location to industry partners, and they actually went there and look into the whole geology of the thing, and they found out that there is a whole water bed beneath the earth, which is kind of bringing in extremely unprecedented kind of a water content in those samples, for which reason we were not able to predict the calorific value. Okay. Now it was a simple machine learning model to reduce the cost of a particular operation, right, in an industry. But what it ended up doing is the discovery of a waterbed, which completely changed their whole economic model and their whole planning system, because they had assumed that there is nothing over there, and they had created the whole plan accordingly, right? And this kind of analysis showed that, oh, there is something happening on, and we were able to do it from machine learning model, right? So this kind of analysis, and we ended up publishing a paper or something like that as well. But the point over here is that machine learning is very powerful. Even if you don't intend to find something, if you're doing a good error analysis, it will help you reach to the conclusions that will definitely bring in a lot of money. Okay, that's one of the examples. Then I can talk about some other stuff as well. But before I do that, there is someone else who has joined us probably. I think Shraddha. If you could let us know about yourself and if you have any questions.
Oh, sorry, I joined a few minutes late. At this point, I don't have a question. By any chance, you'll be sharing your presentation?
Well, this is AMA. This is Ask Me Anything. So this meeting will be recorded and shared. Definitely, we'll be sharing the link. But I am not actually sharing any kind of a presentation right now because I'm just answering questions if somebody is having any particular questions.
Okay, thank you. I
Yeah.
think at this point.
Thanks.
Great.
Okay. So yeah, now, if anybody is having any question around the problem that I just talked about, any comment or anybody feel like, okay, they have kind of received similar kind of they have had similar kind of an experience previously? Yeah, that's really interesting. Yeah. And yeah, even I would give you one more example in mining. Now, mining is one of the industry you might not feel that how can AI be used, but believe you me, AI is completely changing the game. So I'll just give you a different perspective on AI. Because I think all of you knows AI from the machine learning, right? The machine learning algorithm, the supervised learning, the unsupervised learning, and so on. I'll give you a little bit of different perspective on it. AI is not just machine learning. AI is much more than that. Okay. And as a data scientist, you will get to know about it. I'll give you one example of the mining industry, and then I'll give you one more example of one of the first companies, not one of the first companies, but one of the companies that I worked at the US, which is Affinity. Affinity is working on a very interesting problem. I'll discuss that at the very end. So to talk about the mining problem, so how mining works is that you have drill holes, you're getting samples from that, and from those samples, you're estimating what amount of gold and what quality of gold, let's say gold, right, is present under the earth, beneath the surface of earth, right? Based on that, you create kind of a geological model. Okay. Now, that modeling process is in itself not 100% correct, right? There is uncertainty in it. You really don't know if the quantity and quality that we are predicting is correct or not. Okay. On top of that, the next problem is using that uncertain model, you have to make the decision of where to start extraction. This is a very important decision. This is what we call planning. Okay. In AI, planning is one of the important things. You're planning as how to extract this valuable material from Earth such that we can get as much profit as possible. Why I'm saying this? Because the whole mining process, right, the whole extraction of all the materials from Earth would probably take 50 different years, right? So 50 years of operation, right? Now you can't do something like, oh, okay, for the first 30 years, I will just remove all of the waste. And then I will only take on the valuable material in the last 20 years. Why? First of all, you don't have that much of a capital. Secondly, there is a time value of money concept. You will lose the value that you right now have. All of the estimates that you had on the gold is now not valid after 30 years, right? So you can't do that, right? So it is extremely, extremely important decision. The whole mining industry works on that. Okay. Before mining starts, this is a planning kind of a decision. Okay. And very rarely, the probability of success is very small. Probably 5%, 3%, 4%, or something like that. And that is why usually people are scared of investing in mining projects. Very few companies invest in mining projects, right? So now, if they have done that, how would you solve this problem? Usually you would use the reinforcement learning to solve this problem, okay? So definitely, I mean, you would use reinforcement learning, which is not machine learning. I mean, which is kind of a machine learning, but usually you don't hear about it. But combine the reinforcement learning with the meta heuristic algorithm, you would solve that problem. And I'm not sure how many of you are aware of the mathematical optimization as well. I hope so. This would kind of give you motivation that AI is actually more than a simple machine learning. Okay. And if you have time and you're curious and you're interested, definitely you can get into those areas as well. Okay. Later on, maybe in your career as well. What is reinforcement learning? Well, what is planning generally, right? What are meta heuristic algorithms? What are mathematical optimization like integer programming or linear programming, right? And particularly, the interesting part over here is how to deal with that uncertainty. Maybe I make a plan that, okay, to maximize the profit, this is how you should be extracting the whole thing, right? But if we want to do that, it means I have to think long term, right? Not just short term, right? And if you think about it, this problem is very similar to game problem. If you're playing a chess, this is what you're doing, right? So when you think about AI playing a chess, what does it do at the core of it, right? It is solving the similar kind of a problem. Or I may say that a mining industry is kind of solving the same problem as gamers or AI industry is solving in the game domain, right? Even one of the best algorithm that is performing this task right now is adopted from the AlphaGo algorithm from the Google, which is an algorithm developed to beat the best master of a Go game, right? So my point over here is, if you even know about something about those domains, there is a lot of other opportunity that will open to you as well in the AI domain as well. But it's rare. It's not that common. But again, the more you get into this field and the more you're spending time in this field, of course, you can learn more about that as well. Okay. Now, apart from that, you will also find a lot of companies which are probably not working on these AI specialized kind of domains, but they are working on algorithms that they have themselves developed, right? Like Affinity. Affinity is a company who have developed their own algorithm, and they have patented it, and their whole company. I mean, those were actually Stanford researchers in 2008, and they kind of tried to solve this pairing problem between humans, the customers and the agents who are picking up the calls. They tried to kind of find similarity between them through some kind of a machine, some kind of an algorithm. They're using Bayesian kind of algorithm, but at the core of it, when I interviewed for them, they really did not ask me anything related to machine learning, right? Like the core algorithms. What they were interested in is my thought process. And this is what you should also be going through probably. What is your thought process about the whole machine learning, right? So yeah. So there are a lot of researchers who have completely developed their own company. It's now $1 billion company. There is a company right now where I'm living right now over here. I think actually last year, NASDAQ actually acquired them probably, yeah, Verafin. So they are working on a similar kind of a project, but their niche is financial institutions, right? And now they have their own kind of a system of working with that. And now it's also a $1 billion company, probably. I think $1 billion company. But yeah, if not billion, close to $1 billion company. But yeah, the point that I'm trying to make over here is that, so at the end, you will be asked not really core questions about your machine learning. They will ask you about how to approach your data. I still remember they would give me the simple example of that was in the very beginning that, oh, if you have 5 red balls and let's say, again, I don't exactly remember the question, but something on these lines. 5 green balls. If I pick up 1 green ball, what is the chance that next time I'll also again pick a green ball? Okay. Now it was kind of a statistical kind of a question. I was kind of confused by this question suddenly because I was expecting something related to core machine learning, but then I was like, okay, I kind of started reasoning about it. Although the question was not that easy, it was a little bit complicated. Yeah, probability, but not really in true sense. They don't want to see how much of a knowledge do you have about probability or statistics. You need to understand that. That is what the interviewer told me. Because I had not refreshed a lot of stuff about my probability theory and so on. So of course I was not really able to answer the exact question, like what is the exact answer. And I knew that I will not be able to apply some formulas to get to the solution, right? Because I had not really reviewed anything. And they had not even asked me to review some things like that. And they would understand that. And they would not say that because of a reason, because they want me to reason through that problem instead of simply applying the formulas, right? So in the beginning, when I was trying the formulas. So the interviewer told me that you don't have to apply the formula. Try to reason it through and talk me through the problem. How would you think about this problem? If you're trying to solve this problem yourself without the use of any formulas or anything else, how would you go about it? So then I would start talking about it. Okay, if I have this one ball, if I take that out, of course, the probability is going to be reduced. Now, how much reduced, I'm not exactly sure. Now, there are some other factors. If I'm resampling it, then what happens, right? So this thought process really helped me. So interviewer then said that your answer is not exactly correct. You made some mistakes, some few mistakes in the whole process. But I think so the thought process is what we are looking for. So yeah. And then for the 1 month, they gave us this kind of a whole, kind of training on their own algorithm. They didn't show us the whole algorithm, but they showed us a parts of it for which I was responsible for, and so on, right? So it is quite possible that you would also go through this whole thing in this manner as well. So yeah, the takeaway from my last 20 minutes of discussion is that it is not just about learning pieces of algorithms like machine learning algorithms, right? It is also about being open to different domains and applications of AI that exist. And if you have time, definitely get into that as well later on, but be aware of it, that it exists. Some other pieces of algorithm like meta heuristic and mathematical optimization algorithms, right? And apart from that, remember that there are a lot of companies who are not using off-the-shelf machine learning algorithms. They have their own systems. What they want from you is to be good with understanding the data, evaluation metrics. How would you evaluate a model? If the data is imbalanced, what would you do? All of these kind of technical kind of questions. If you're aware of that, I think so. It's more than good. That would definitely help in your whole process as well. Okay. So yeah. Any other questions? Thanks. So yeah, Adam, if you want to share something, you can share as well. Otherwise, yeah. So if somebody is having a question, we are still available for the next 10 minutes. So yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Wakas. Thank you for everyone to join these sections, and we will have more like lunch and learn for this week and next week, and all the information can find from the Meetup, or you can follow us our YouTube, and also LinkedIn. It will be available on this platform. And meanwhile, if you are interested to our programs and also you want to have more information, let me share the link. So you can download our career guide and let me just share. So we have different services. We have bootcamp, we have real-time projects, we have mentorship, and if you are interested, you can go to our website and register, and our advisor can help you to give you advice to find which is the best service we can provide for you. Our goal is to help you to find a job or land a job, or help you to get understanding what is different between the data scientist versus others roles. And yeah, so I think that's all we want to cover for today. Just, if there are no more questions, and I will stop the recording, and we will stay for another few more minutes just in case if you have any follow-up questions.